Hello and welcome to another episode of Shattered Dice Plays Terminus Frontier. So today we are doing a stealth mission. So we've covered basic skirmishes, we've covered boss battles, and today we are doing a stealth mission. So today we're going to be doing this mission playing as the Vanguard as our main character, and his play area is here. I've had to squash it up a little bit. And accompanying us are our crew members, the Zealot Shock Trooper and the Operative Shadow Agent. So we've been through how these guys work before. However, the difference in this mission is that the game gives us 300 credits per character for standalone play. So we have a total of 900 credits. Now I'm not sure in this game if your money is yours and yours alone, or you can kind of share it out. But I am going to assume that we can share our money. And that is mainly because I am using crew members. They can't use as much stuff. In fact, they are limited to one piece of gear each. So because this is a stealth mission, we are bringing suppressors with us. And this tells us when we do a shoot action, we no longer advance the alarm track, which we'll look at the alarm track in just a second. Now there are only 2 of these available in the game. So the Vanguard has one, and the Operative Sharpshooter has one. The reason I haven't given one to the Zealot Shock Trooper, who it might seem strange that I'm bringing him on a stealth mission, is because the rules state in this game, if you attack an enemy from an adjacent space, it does not raise the alarm. And so that's important because of course we're trying to be stealthy. The alarm track is down here. If the alarm gets raised all the way up to here, then the red alert event occurs, and basically life gets a lot more difficult for us. And each time you fire a non-suppressed weapon, this will move up. And that includes enemies' weapons as well, so we really don't want enemies shooting at us. The exception to this is if you attack an enemy when you're in an adjacent space, it doesn't raise the alarm, and the rules don't stipulate that that is a melee-only attack. Therefore, if you are firing a ranged weapon when adjacent to an enemy, it doesn't raise the alarm. So my intention with the Zealot Shock Trooper is to get him up close to the enemies and use the devastating strength of his shotgun to wipe them out quickly without raising the alarm. Which does sound kind of silly that you can run up and blast someone with a shotgun and it not raise the alarm. So that's the alarm track. The other thing to be aware of in a stealth mission is that even if the alarm isn't raised, if we attack an enemy, they will automatically gain one of these alert tokens, and that means they become alert from then on. And if they are still alive at the end of the round, the alarm goes up. So we really need to make sure anybody we attack, we kill. And the last thing that makes a stealth mission different is that enemies move on designated patrol paths, which we can see these tokens with arrows on them at various spots on the board. When an enemy moves onto one of those tokens, it rotates to face that direction, and then it keeps moving in that direction. And all of the enemy's bases have these little arrows on them, so we know which way they're facing. So essentially all the enemies stick to a strict path. And then instead of the Hostile Forces deck, we have the Stealth Hostile Forces deck. And when we reveal one of these cards, it'll tell us what these enemies do. Most of the time it will tell us they patrol. Which means we draw one of these patrol cards and we follow the instructions on there. So the last thing to be aware of is each enemy has what's called a detection range. And this stretches 3 squares to their left, 3 squares to their right, and 3 squares in front of them. So if you move behind an enemy, they can't see you. And if you're more than 3 squares away, on any of their other facings, they can't see you. Which it may sound like they have a very short detection range, but actually it's the way they move and the layout of the map, it's actually quite a lot. So the way we avoid being seen by them is by either remaining out of their vision, or if we are regarded as being in cover, so adjacent to one of these boxes, and their line of sight crosses that box, you're basically counted as hidden. The same goes for if we are on top of these 2 large cover blocks here, you count as being in cover when on top of a building. So that's the basics of this mission. We're going to be trying to sneak through here, taking people down as quietly as possible, and we have to rescue these 3 colonists. Now these colonists are all prisoners, so they have these immobilized tokens on them, and we must get adjacent to them in order to remove these tokens. It doesn't cost an action, but as soon as we move adjacent to a colonist, we remove the immobilized token. Unfortunately, if we do that, and they're in the detection range of an enemy, such as here, that enemy will become alerted. So we're kind of going to have to sneak them back. And essentially the way we complete the game is these spaces where we start. There's also some more down at the other end, but I don't think I'll be going down there. You can't really see them because the board's quite large. But if we get the colonists moved back to these spaces where we begin, these tiles with the yellow borders, that is our extraction point. So once again, sneak through this facility, untie these prisoners, escort them back to the extraction point, try not to get seen, try not to raise the alarm. It's as simple as that. And just before we begin, the rest of the money I've spent on other bits of equipment. So we've got our 2 suppressors. The Zealot Shock Trooper has an ammo feeder, which allows us once per game, because it only has 1 charge, we can use a reload action for free. And I've also given one of those to our Vanguard. And then the remaining 400 credits I spent on this F46 Hellfire rifle, because I wanted to show you guys like sort of an upgraded weapon. So this is a much fancier version than his original assault rifle. It has full discharge and stable as its 2 bonus cards in its deck. As you can see here, when it fires on pulse, it will always do 1 additional damage, and when fired on full auto, it will hit enemies in adjacent squares. It also has this ability Meltdown, so you may discard a condition token from the target to inflict +2 damage, and at range 1 to 3, it does +1 damage. So it's a pretty good assault rifle. That might make this mission a little bit easier, but I did want to show off some of the other weapons in the game. We've also bought him a combat helmet, which gives him +1 health on his head, so that should be on 3. And it also gives him +1 card to his hand of action cards, so he will have 6 instead of 5. And other than that, the game works pretty much the same as a skirmish. It's mainly just doing the stealth stuff. So, with all that said, we'll give our Vanguard cards a shuffle, draw our 6 starting cards, and then we'll begin. Okay, so there are our 6 starting cards. And what's good about stealth missions is this stealth deck, just like a boss deck, if it runs out it will get reshuffled, so we don't have a time limit until the alarm goes off. So we can take our time here, we don't need to go too quick. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is pick our positions on the squad formation track. So we're going to place our operative as fire gunner. We're going to place our zealot as our primary gunner. And we're going to place our vanguard as a watcher. Because what this allows us to do is draw one of these react cards. So as a reaction we can fire on pulse or we can strike. But we have to discard this at the end of the round. So I have to use it this round if I'm going to use it. And of course our operative gets a boost token. And then we draw a stealth card. Now these are initially in a specific order, but like I said earlier, they can get shuffled. So we've got look around. So we have the yellow group is at initiative 2, and the red group is at initiative 6. So first, the yellow group. So the patrol card tells us they're going to move -1. And the yellow group is these enforcers, who we can see they have 7 health, 3 movement, and 1 armor. So they're each going to move 2 spaces. So we start with enforcer number 1 down here, and then enforcer number 2. So they've moved, they can't see anyone, so they're not going to attack. Who has 3 actions. So we're going to start by moving him 1, 2, 3. So he's behind Enforcer 2. So he's not in range of his detection. So if we fire our shotgun at him from here, we're going to start raising the alarm. We don't want to do that, so we're going to use a second action to move again to get to here. So now we're adjacent to him. And then we're going to fire our shotgun at him. So we draw a 3, and the Mauler R35 does +2 damage at 1 to 2 range. So that's a total of 5 damage. He does, however, have 1 armor, so 4 damage will go through, dropping Enforcer number 2 to 3 health. And he then becomes alerted. And that is the end of our Zealot's turn. So we activate the Corsairs next, the red group. Now before they do anything, because it's an enemy turn, I'm going to play this Overwatch card on our Vanguard. He has a suppressor, so we don't need to worry about making noise. And he gets to fire on pulse, and he's going to target the Enforcer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's definitely got range. So we draw a card, and on pulse we get 2, and he's not in cover, so it doesn't matter. But it adds 1, so that's 3 damage. But he does have 1 point of armor, so only 2 goes through. So unfortunately, it only does 2 damage to him and drops him to 1 health. And of course, because that was silenced, it doesn't put the alarm up. Okay, now we draw a patrol card for the Corsairs. So they are also going to move -1. And the Corsairs are a bit quicker, with 8 health and 4 movement, but no armor. So they're going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And now it is our operative's turn, and she has 3 actions. So she's going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. Then she's going to use breath control, which allows her to aim. She's also going to use zeroed in for 1 action. So she has 1 action left. Now zeroed in gives her a boost token. Because she's already got 1, it flips over and becomes a +3 damage. And all of her sniper rifle attacks gain +1 damage. So she is going to use her breath control to do an aim 1, so we can see what her next card is. Okay, so we know now if this was a react or we moved, it would be a miss, and we have moved. So what we're going to do is place that at the bottom of the deck. And because we used breath control, that aim did not cost us an action. So we're then going to use our final action to fire at Enforcer number 2. And we get a direct hit that ignores both armor and cover. +1 from the zeroed in, so it's 3 damage, but we don't even need that. It's more than enough to kill him. And then it's our Vanguard's turn with 2 actions. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to use this Give 'em Hell command. Target ally within 8 spaces, the target gains a +1 damage token. So we're going to give that to the Zealot. Then we've got another command, Get Moving, for 0 action points. So target ally within 8 spaces, the target may discard a suppression card, doesn't matter because neither of those get them, but they can perform a move. So we're going to use that on the Zealot as well. And we're going to tell the Zealot to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then for 1 action, we're going to discard first aid and do a standard move. So he goes 1, 2, 3. And then with our second action, we're going to use Adamantine Charge, because we need to keep moving. We're obviously not going to attack anything, we're just going to use it to move. So he will go 1, 2, 3. He's going to stay there because he's in cover. And that's the end of the first turn. So we draw 3 cards for the Vanguard. wipe this board, and then we get to refresh one of these cards. So we're going to refresh zeroed in, and then we begin placing our tokens again. So we ideally want the Vanguard to go quite early on, because we want to take this guy out before he moves. So we're going to put the Vanguard on point, and he moves up 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Gains another resolve token. Now we're going to make the operative the Fire Gunner, because that gives her another boost token. And then the Zealot, we're going to make him the Primary Gunner. And then we draw a stealth card. So we've got an arrival of 1 Enforcer appears at space 3. So this Enforcer appears here. Now his movement is going to take him onto the track. So he's going to move this way, turn, and then start heading that way. And then we have the Enforcers at initiative 4, and the Corsairs at initiative 6. Right, so the Vanguard is going first, and he really wants to take down that guy down there. So we're going to use Rapid Fire. So we increase our threat by 1, gain another resolve token, and then we can fire on Pulse or Burst. So we're going to fire on Burst this time at this guy down here. So we've got full discharge. So we could inflict jam on the weapon to give it a area of effect, but we don't need that. So we've got 3 damage and then a discard. So that's 2 damage is going to go through, dropping him to 5 health. Then with the next shot, we're going to fire on Pulse, I think. And we get perfect aim. So that's 3 damage, plus the 1. So that's 4 damage. His armor avoids 1 of it, so he takes 3 damage and he's reduced to 2 health. Phalanx Advance is probably our best bet here. So we're going to spend this, increase our threat by 1, gain a shield, and then we can move and then fire on Pulse or Burst. So we're going to go 1, 2 and get to here. And now we're in 3 spaces of him. So we're going to get this +1 damage, and we're going to fire on Burst. So the first one is unfortunately a miss. The second one is 2 damage. And the third one would be 2 damage, but it gets discarded. So it's 3 damage, but that is just enough to kill him. And then he's done. Okay, so next it's going to be the Enforcer's turn. So they draw a patrol card. And they turn around. Okay, so I'm assuming this means they turn 180 degrees. Which actually means this guy over here is going to turn to face that way. And then he wouldn't move. Which means he's not looking at us, which is pretty good. Maybe he forgot something in the break room or something. But I believe on his next turn he will basically bounce off there when he moves and start heading back that way. So that was quite good for us. Then we have got the Zealots. The first thing he's going to do is take the cuffs off of this colonist, so she can now move, which doesn't cost him an action. Then he's going to tell her to move 3 spaces with the order action. So she goes 1, 2, 3. So that's his first action. Then he's going to order her with another action. 1, 2, 3. And then he's going to move himself. So he's going to step onto here. Collect this token and draw a standard gear card, which gets him some spiked gauntlets. Now he already has a piece of equipment, so he can't use this, but he will be able to give it to the Vanguard. And then he still has 2 movement points left, so he's going to move 1 to there. And then it's the Corsair's turn to activate, so they will patrol as well. So they're just going to use a standard move of 4 spaces. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So fortunately they don't have line of sight, so they can't see anything. So we've just got the operative left. She's going to tell this colonist to move to there. Then she's going to use 2 movement actions to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. She's actually going to stay there. And that's the end of our second turn. So we need 2 cards for the Vanguard. And then we wipe this board. And then we start again. So our operative is going to take the Watcher position, because that way she gets to draw a react card, which again allows her to do Overwatch. She moves up 1 on the threat track. The Zealot will take the Fire Gunner role. And our Vanguard, he is going to take the Primary Gunner role. So he gets 2 more Resolve tokens. And then we draw a Stealth card. So this time we have Patrol +3. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so 2 for the yellow and 4 for the Corsairs. So the yellow squad will go first, draw a patrol card for them, move +2. So his total movement is going to be 8. So he's obviously gone and got whatever he left in the break room, and now he's going to turn around and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But he can't end in the same space as this Corsair, so he's going to get stopped there. And then we have the Corsairs. So we draw a patrol card for them, and they also get a move +2. Ooh, not good. So they're going to get a movement of 9. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she's going to see the Zealot, which means she becomes alert. Now when they're alert, they move towards the closest Drift Hunter and attack using their red icon. So she still has movement points left. So she's going to get right up to the Zealot, and then she attacks him in melee. So we draw a melee card, and we add +1 damage to this attack. So it's going to be 3 damage to the Zealot, which drops him from 12 health down to 9. And then this Corsair goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this is pretty bad, because we're going to have to kill both of these to stop the alarm from ticking up. Because if an enemy is killed while in the detection range of another enemy, they become alert. And then this last Corsair is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so just before the enemy's turn ends, we are going to use the Overwatch card of the operative. So she gets to fire on Pulse. Now she's going to fire at this Corsair here. And we need to do a lot of damage to her, so I think we're going to use all of our tokens. Pulse, and you did not move. Well, she hasn't moved this turn. It's 4 damage, and it ignores cover, but she's not in cover. Plus the 4 damage from these 2 tokens we said we were going to use. Oh, I actually forgot to refresh breath control, didn't I? But that's a total of 8 damage, and the Corsairs don't have any armor, so that just kills her with 1 shot. So she just sat there waiting and just did a 360 no-scope from across the map. Now this Corsair was out of detection range, so she doesn't become alert. And that's all the enemies activated. So now, it's our Vanguard's turn. Well, I could have used that as a react. In fact, yeah, I mean, I'm a bit late, but it's obviously a bit more difficult controlling multiple characters. So he's going to use Get Down, because he's within 8 spaces of the Zealot. So target ally within 8 spaces, prevent 2 damage from an incoming attack. So he would have prevented 2 damage from that Corsair's attack. So we'll just put the Zealot back up from 9 to 11. Okay, so we've got 3 actions. So the first thing we're going to do is use Light 'em Up, which increases our threat by 1. Now we get to make a pulse or a burst attack. So the first thing we're going to do is use a pulse attack against her. So we draw our last card. It's a 3, plus the 1 is a 4. That does 4 damage to Corsair number 1, dropping her to 4 health. Then we get to move. So we're going to go 1, 2 to here. We're going to get rid of this token, so she can now move. And then we can make a pulse burst or full auto attack, but unfortunately we're out of ammo. However, that's why I brought this ammo feeder, so I can now do a reload action for free. So we're going to reload. So that's the Hellfire rifle reloaded. And then we're going to do a pulse attack. So we do 3 plus the 1 is 4 again. And she doesn't have any armor. So that actually kills Corsair number 1. And that was 2 action points. And we've got a 3rd action point left. So we're going to order this colonist to move 1, 2, 3 to there. Okay, and then it's the Zealot's turn. So the Zealot is going to be super sneaky here, because there's no one down here. So he is going to go with his 3 actions. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And of course he's out of detection range of this Corsair. And then, if I just show you on here, this is the ladder. So if you're next to a ladder for 1 movement point, you can climb. So he basically just goes 1, 2, 3 with his 3rd action. And now he's in cover when he's up here, so he counts as being out of line of sight. So it's now the operative's turn, and she is going to order this colonist to move 3. 1, 2, 3, and then another 3. 1, 2, 3. And then she's done. And that's the end of the turn. So once again, we need to draw 2 cards for the Vanguard, but we only have 1. So we take our last card, we take a suppression card, and then we shuffle our deck. Oh, and I've just noticed our Vanguard's on 9 threat, so he should actually have his 6th resolve token. Okay, then we wipe the board, and we start again. So we need to get the Vanguard out of there really quick. So he's going to take point, because there's a chance more enemies might spawn down here. So he goes up 3 on the threat track. He gains a boost token and a marked target token. Then the Zealot actually probably wants to go a bit later here, because ideally we want to sneak down there. So the Zealot is going to go at number 9 and be in the Watcher's space. So he gets an Overwatch card. And then the operative will take the Fire Gunner roll and get another boost token. Okay, so now we draw a stealth card. So this tells us in a 3 to 4 player game, 2 Corsairs arrive, 1 at space 2 and 1 at space 3. So we'll place this Corsair at space 2 and this one at space 3. And then we can see the Corsairs activate at initiative 4 and the Enforcers activate at initiative 6. So as the Vanguard is taking point, he is going to activate first. And he's going to use a lethal strike to allow him to move 2 spaces. It's a bit of a waste of the melee attack, but we want to get away from that Corsair. So we move 2 to there, and then he's going to use his first action to move 2 to there. So we'll discard this take the shot. he can use his last action to rally and get rid of this suppression card. Okay, now it's the Corsair's turn. So they're going to patrol. So we'll draw a patrol card for them. Move -1. So they're going to move 3 spaces, starting with this one down here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And then it is the Enforcer's activation. So they just move a standard 3 spaces. So he goes 1, 2, 3. And now we have 3 actions with our operative. So she can't see the Corsair from where she is. So she's going to have to move if she wants to attack her. So before we do that, we're going to use breath control to aim so we can see what our next sniper shot is. Okay, it's going to be a miss. So we'll put that at the bottom of her deck. Then we're going to use zeroed in, which will flip this over to a +3, and she'll gain +1 damage on her sniper rifle attacks. So she has 2 actions left. So what she's going to do is she's actually going to use her second action to reload. Oh. I've just realised I've got her card the wrong way around. It shouldn't make too much of a difference. Okay, the only difference is she's got 9 health instead of 10. Because I had her on the sharpshooter side, so her health should actually be at 9. Apologies for that, my mistake. But thankfully her movements and everything else is the same. Okay, now she's going to use her third and final action to aim. And when we use a standard aim action, we get to look at the top 2 cards. So we know we've got unsteady, and then we know we've got a miss. So we're actually going to place those 2 at the bottom of her deck. And then it's the Zealot's turn. Now the Zealot's going to use his first action to move to here. Now I believe it states we don't count vertically when we're considering adjacent. So when the Zealot's here, he is adjacent to this Enforcer. He is still in cover though because he's on top of the building, so thankfully he can't be seen. So what he's going to do is going to put his shotgun on the top of this Enforcer's head and blow his brains out through his nether regions. Oh, he's only got 2 actions, hasn't he? He was a Watcher. I'm not confident I can kill him with 1 hit. So I think he's just going to stand there and wait for this Enforcer to move past. And then that's the end of the turn. So our Vanguard needs 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And then we clear the board. And we start again. So we're going to put the Vanguard as the fire gunner this time. He's already at the top level of threat, which means this will flip over to a +3. We're going to put the Operative as a Watcher, which means she gets an Overwatch card. And we're going to put the Zealot as the primary gunner, so +1 and +2. And then we draw another stealth card. Okay, so we get 1 Enforcer arrives at blip 4, but there is no blip 4. So I'm assuming, I mean this could be a typo, but I'm thinking this might be this card is used in other missions as well, where there is a blip 4. So I'm thinking what we get here is actually nothing. Nobody else spawns, because that is a 4-player game and there is no blip 4. But I'm guessing it's for like other missions. So we have the Corsairs are going at 6, and the Enforcers will be going at 8. And that was the last stealth card, so we take all of the stealth cards and we shuffle them. Okay, so the first person to go is our Zealot, and he's got 3 actions. So now we are going to attack this Enforcer. So he's going to use Burst Shock, which will give him +1 damage on this attack. and smash back if we want to use it. So it's a pulse attack. So that's 1 damage. Plus 1 from this. So it only does 1 damage to this Enforcer. Oh, actually, we're only 1 space away, so we get plus 2 damage. So that was in fact 1, 2, 3, 4. Minus 1 for the armor, so it did 3 damage to him. So it drops into 4 health. Then the next attack. So this time we get 3, 4, 5. His armor blocks 1, but 4 damage goes through, so that kills him. And those were all adjacent to him. And then we've got 1 action left. If we do a move, we can go 1, 2, 3. And then even if this Corsair moves, as long as she doesn't move too far, she shouldn't see us. So now it's the Corsair's turn. So we'll draw a patrol card for them. They move -1, which is quite good for us. So she will go 1, 2, 3. She will go 1, 2, and as soon as she lands there, we're going to use our Sharpshooter Operative's Overwatch to do a pulse attack. So she fires, doing 3 damage. Oh, one of these should have refreshed, shouldn't they? That should have refreshed. And we'll spend the +3 damage token, turning that into 6 damage and reducing the Corsair to 2 health. Of course, she now becomes alert, which, as it's their turn, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think because she's just become alert, that will trigger her new behaviour, which means she moves directly towards the closest Drift Hunter, which would be the Operative. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then attacks her with a melee attack. That's 3 damage. Dropping the Sharpshooter down to 6 health and dropping her 3 spaces on the threat track. And as it was a melee attack, as it was adjacent, it doesn't put the alarm up. Okay, then we've got this last Corsair. 1, 2, 3. Now we have our Vanguard. Okay, he may as well use Give 'em Hell. So he's going to target the Operative, and she gains a boost token. Then he's going to use Full Auto, because it allows him to move 2 spaces. 1, 2. And then he has to fire on Full Auto. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 damage on the Corsair. She only had 2 health left, so he just absolutely shreds her with his pulse rifle. And then he has 2 actions left. He's going to discard Flush 'em Out, and he's going to discard Rapid Fire. And he's going to use both of those for standard movement actions and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to there. Then it would be the Enforcer's turns, but they're all dead. So it's now the Operative's turn, and she can see her down here. So she's got 2 actions. So what she's going to use Zeroed In to turn that into a +3 and get +1 to her sniper rifle attacks. So she can only make 1 shot. But the alarm token is still really low, so we're going to risk it. And she gets a vital shot. So she hasn't moved, and it is a pulse. So it's 4 damage. Plus the 3, and then plus the 1. So it's 8 damage, so that paid off. She just sniped her straight through the head and did a total of 8 damage to that Corsair. So now there's just this one to worry about. And that's the end of the turn. So we now need to draw 4 cards for our Vanguard. 2, 3, 4. We wipe this board. Okay, we're probably going to get seen by this Corsair. So we want our Vanguard to go at initiative 5. We want our Zealot to go as a fire gunner. And that way our Zealot gets to flip this over to a +3. And then the operative may as well take the rearguard position. And then we draw a stealth card. Okay, so yellow is at initiative 2, but they're not here, so we don't need to worry about them. And then the red team is at initiative 6. So our Vanguard's going to go first. Okay, that's good actually. We're going to use Get Moving for 0 action points. He's going to target the Zealot and tell him to move 3 spaces. 1, 2. He'll move the full 3. Now that does mean this Corsair can see him and she'll become alert, but that's fine. I've just realised all this time I've been drawing up to 5 and I've got +1 to my hand size, so actually I should have 1 more card in my hand. So his first action is going to be to use this Phalanx Advance, so he gains another shield token, and then he gets to move 3 spaces. So what he's going to do is he's going to move 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move that so you guys can see where he is. So he would be right on the corner of this building, which means he would be in cover and he would have line of sight to the Corsair. I'm not 100% on that actually. I think he would have line of sight because the line, the straight line from centre square to centre square, would be just cutting the corner of the building. So I think he has line of sight. But you know what? Just to make things a bit more challenging for myself, I'm going to say he doesn't, because I don't know for certain. So instead what we're going to do with our second action, we're going to use Adamantine Charge, which allows us to move. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, get right up behind the Corsair, and then we can do a strike or a combo. So we're going to do a combo attack with our sword. So he uses his mono sword X12. The combo is 2. Oh, it's a miss. And then we have to discard 1. That's a shame. It would have been better being the other way around. But we can discard this to make that into 5 damage. So that drops her to 3 health. And we still have 1 action left. So we're going to discard Get Down to allow us to do another attack. And this time we're going to use our pulse rifle and we're going to fire on burst. So we get 3, 4, 5, plus the 1 is 6 damage. So that's definitely enough to take out this Corsair before she even knew what hit her. And then we would have to discard that card. And now we've still got our Zealot to activate. So it was lucky we moved him here, because now we can discard this token from the colonist. Then he can spend his first action to order her to move. That should be refreshed. That should also be refreshed. So he can use his first action to order the colonist to move. 1, 2, 3. He can use the second action to order the colonist to move. 1, 2, 3. And then he himself will move 1, 2, 3. And then we've still got our rearguard watcher, who actually she should have been able to reload and heal 2 at the start of the turn. So we'll put her back up to 8 health and we'll reload her sniper rifle. Okay, so she's only got 2 actions, but she's going to move 1, 2, 3. And I believe she's within 3 spaces. If we count from there, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So she's going to order this colonist to move 1, 2, 3. That's the end of the turn. So our Vanguard needs 4 cards, but he doesn't have 4 cards left to draw. So once again he gets a suppression card and then 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And then we clear this board. And we start again. So this time we're going to put the Vanguard at point. We're going to put the Zealot at flank 2, giving him another boost token and a mark target token. And then we're going to put the Operative as primary gunner. And then we draw our stealth card. Ooh, okay, right. So we have enemies arrive this time. So what have we got? One in... Oh, it's that same one again. So actually nobody arrives. So we don't even need to put them on the board because we've killed everyone. Okay, so this will be a nice easy turn. Our Vanguard, he's just going to throw 2 cards. It doesn't matter which 2. Any 2. Those 2. And he's going to go 1, 2, 3. And collect this, which gets him a standard gear draw, which is a medkit. Now, the Zealot would have actually got 2 movement points at the start of the turn because he's the flanker, so he would have moved on to there. Which you should really do, these should be done like at the time when you place yourselves on the squad formation board. I just keep forgetting about the flank move. So he draws a helmet, which again he can't use, but I just wanted to get it anyway to grab some loot. And now it's his turn, so he's going to move 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. He's within 3 spaces of the colonist, so he's going to use his second action to order her to move 1, 2, 3. And then it's the Operative's turn. So the first thing she will do is order the colonist to move 1, 2, 3. Then she's going to move herself 1, 2, 3. And then with her third action, she's going to move again 1, 2, 3. And that's the end of the turn. So we'll clear this. We'll draw 2 new cards for the Vanguard. Then we'll clear this. And now we're going to have the Operative take point, and the other 2 don't really matter. So we draw a stealth card. Okay, we do get an arrival of 2 Corsairs. So one appears here and one appears here. She immediately becomes alerted. But this isn't actually going to matter because our Operative is getting the first turn, and she's just going to use both of her actions to order these colonists to move. It says under the objective, when all 3 colonists are in the deployment zones, immediately proceed to the resolution. If any colonists are killed, the mission is failed. So that's it, we've rescued all 3 of them, and we did that with perfect stealth there. We didn't even raise the alarm track. So who says big, meaty, muscle-bound, shotgun-toting, half-robot aliens can't be stealthy? Not me, that's for sure. And that's it for this stealth mission. So that's 3 of the 4 sample missions completed. And once again, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if any of the designers are watching this or anything, then please point out any mistakes, anything I'm not understanding properly. Now, the only thing I want to talk about in this is the stealth mechanics, because I do like stealth in games. I do like patrol paths and things like that. And I think what they've done here is really good for a game that isn't a pure stealth game, but to have certain stealth missions. These tokens are a great little way of marking out patrol paths rather than having them printed on the board or anything, because it means many different scenarios can have different patrol paths for the enemies. I really like the way a lot of it works. I like getting suppressors. It is kind of strange that using a ranged attack when you're adjacent to an enemy doesn't raise the alarm, like your gun suddenly becomes quiet. I guess their bodies muffle the gunshot. But I kind of understand that because not all of the characters in this game necessarily begin with a melee weapon. Like the Operative, for example, she starts with a pistol and a sniper rifle. So unless you've bought her a melee weapon, then you might struggle a little bit to attack you know, unless you have a suppressor. But it seems to work okay to me. I like it. What I really like is how if you're adjacent to these cover cubes, then you're essentially like hiding down behind them, you know, he's like crouching down behind it. And that allows you to avoid detection. The enemy's detection range does feel a little bit short, but I don't think it actually is. I think 3 squares sounds like it's a very short detection range, but if they had a longer detection range than that, then you would probably find yourself getting spotted very easily. Because there were a few close calls there, and I have practiced this mission a couple of times, so I did kind of know that the best sort of strategy for me to do in terms of, you know, staying away from them. Because these patrol cards, you know, they're most of them are just move. You've got a few of those move -1s. You've got that move +1 detect range there. That can be bad. But you've got a fair few that have got move +1 in them as well. So there's a nice amount of unpredictability into the patrolling guards. Overall, I really like it. I think it's a really good kind of add-on stealth system for a game that isn't predominantly about stealth. So, you know, it's not quite as effective as, say, Metal Gear Solid or SAS Rogue Regiment, but those two games are all about stealth. This is a combat game, and it's got stealth missions in it, and I don't think they could have done a much better job of implementing stealth from what I've seen here. It's really well thought out. There's lots of ways to handle it. You know, getting the Zealot up here and having him sneak across the top of these boxes, you know, these little buildings, whatever they are. It's little tactics like that make a huge difference. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. So far, I think pretty much everything in this game is a winner for me so far. I haven't found anything I particularly dislike. And I hope you liked this, and I hope you got a little bit more of an idea of what you think of this game and whether it's one for you. Once again, you know, there's their Kickstarter. I believe the late backing option is still open, so go check it out if you're interested. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that YouTube nonsense. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.